Now we live.
We live. Hello, Nodo.
Hello, Nodo. This is definitely not getting cut out. This is just being part of it right now because I'm too lazy to edit it. Okay, so this is going to be North Loop, little show through by me and Troa. I brought Troa along because he's very fast and has good insight onto where all the good lines are on the track and basically a good amount of racecraft along the track as well. So I'll let him kind of take the start of this video and then I'll chip in at any point where I feel like I need to.
Alright, take 10.
Take 2, come on. Not quite that bad.
Nah.
We're very bad, but we're not that bad.
Alrighty. Are you using the Turismo again?
Yeah, I'm going to take the Turismo, you're going to take the Zentorno, yeah?
Yep. Alrighty.
Just going to go for a bit of diversity using 2 different supercars.
Indeed.
And the reason we're using 2 supercars is that the lines become a lot more difficult to hit in supercars than they are in any other car class.
Indeed. And you're going to see the Turismo should be superior in the turns, and the Zentorno obviously has the straight line speed. That first turn, you just need to brake a little bit, and that's just really all you need to do is just tap it. You can almost flat that out. And this whole section here, you should be pretty much on the gas the whole way through until you reach the end, where you let off just a little bit. Not for this turn, but for the next one, right up here. Just let off at the top of this crest, get back on it, and then cut, and you want to go on the outside of this pole through the dirt. Kind of catch a little air there. There's nothing you can do about that. And this section right here is where the majority of the speed is going to come from on this track. You want to use the dirt to its fullest, try to straighten these lines out as much as you possibly can so that you're not going super wide and losing your speed. I don't know, anything to add, Sean, on this section?
Same as with any corner, really. You want to try and make it as least the path of least resistance, as it's called, where you're a wide entry, a tight apex, and a wide exit everywhere you can. This seems to be all about carrying speed, especially on tracks like this that rely on a lot of corner exit speed at least to get a good lap time. During a race that doesn't really change. I mean, you want to be on the attack as much as possible and defending as little as possible. I mean, while you're defending, all you're doing is losing time. You might be holding your position, but you are losing time.
Yeah. You definitely want to hit that curb boost back there. I've actually found where I'm at on the racetrack right now is not useful. You don't need to get as wide for this turn. But
flat it out.
Yeah, you can just flat it out. This turn right here, these bridges, this is not an opportune moment to pass. But if you carry lots of speed through that section, you'll get a really easy pass by, just having the straightaway speed. And then if you want to talk a little bit about these curbs.
Yeah, as you'll see on the video right now, I'm hitting these little curbs on each side of the road as much as I can. But the important thing with that is that you don't go over the curb in any way. If you start seeing dirt coming off your tyres, you've lost time immediately. It's a very, very fine line to gaining any sort of speed.
Yeah, and then this gas station is it works a bit as like a chicane, and like with any chicane, you want to just try to turn it into a straight line. Really, that's true with every turn. You just want to make them as straight line as possible. You don't want to do what I just did, which is mess up that jump.
I mean, we can't go too much in depth about how we do it because I can probably say that we honestly don't know how we do it. It's all just come from practice. So all this is going to be really is just a nice little show of lines of what we're using. You'll be able to see Tro doing them because he's in front and me doing them from my POV. And hopefully it'll just give everyone a bit more insight into how these lap times are run. Oh, that was too wide. Yeah. I mean, something like that, that little mistake like that's probably cost me like over a second by the end of this section because I'm so much lower on speed.
Yeah. And like we said in the previous cut, this track is more about patience than anything. Like, through this section here, there's not a lot of passing opportunities, despite there being a lot of turns. It's very tight and windy, and they're not especially difficult turns to pull off in the first place, so it's really easy to defend here. The key is, if you're behind like Sean is right now, is waiting for me to mess up. And even though you're going to see he has the speed here to catch up with me, he's not going to have a good opportunity to pass me unless I make a mistake.
Yeah, this track does boil down to, like we said again in the previous cut, there's only probably 4 or 5 really hard braking points on this track, and they're your passing opportunities most of the time.
Yeah. So the best thing that you can do is just stay patient and stay consistent, and then you're gonna have a lot more opportunities to pass that way than you will ever trying to push it. If you try to push it too much, you're just gonna ruin your own race, and you know, the guy in front's not gonna have to do a whole lot of anything but not crash to win. You can actually hit a curb boost right there. It's a little bit risky because you can hit that guardrail, but you know, it is what it is. You can go for it if you want. Personally, I don't like going for the curbs on this straightaway. My 449s and 450s have pretty much all come not trying to hit these curbs, but if you think that you're skilled enough to go for the curbs, go right ahead. And again, just getting a good wide entrance into this turn so that you maintain your top speed and are on the gas the entire way without worrying about hitting those guardrails. That's really the only tricky part about this first section, is getting a good wide entry into that first turn and then letting off at the gas at the top of this crest again.
Yeah, something that we can't stress enough is the flow of this track, and that is not... Oh god, hello.
I'm sorry. And stuff like that's going to happen, and lo and behold, how does he make the pass? Mistake.
Yeah, there you go, perfect representation. So yeah, I was just going to sort of speak from my POV at the moment, cutting inside dirt lines as much as possible, because it has the added benefit of slowing your car down as well as being an optimal line for the corner. So you're not overstressing your brakes, you're not sliding under brakes. Apart from there, not a very good representation of what I'm supposed to be doing. Yeah, it doesn't have to be all 4 wheels generally, it can just be the 2 wheels, hopped off the side of the track at every opportunity. And then once you get to this section, there's a little tiny dirt cut here, and then you flat out all the way onto the bridge, and that, you know, that little tiny dirt cut before the bridge has saved you probably half a second. And
yeah,
if you add up all those little half seconds you can gain here and there, there's a lot of lap time to be desired from any driver in this game. Especially with the North Loop Endurance coming up this Sunday, anybody who's participating in that and watching this, just keep in mind your corner flow and good exit speed. Without good exit speed, you are nowhere on this track.
Yeah. Getting the turns that are really imperative are the ones that lead into these long straights. The rest of them you can kind of sort of half-ass them more or less, because there's not a lot of passing opportunities. The key with the other turns are more or less just staying on the track. If you're pushing it so hard that you fly off the track, that's when you lose the race. The heavy braking points before these long straights are really the most important parts of the track, in my opinion.
Yeah, I went over the curb boost a little bit too much, then caught a little bit of dirt, so that's actually cost me time. Any time I would have gained earlier in the straight from getting those curb boosters immediately wiped out.
Yeah, and I've actually caught him up a little bit, so he ain't lying.
So as a hot lap without even the mistake from Trevor earlier, me getting caught in that, this lap would then be null and void for a hot lap, most likely. During a race situation, it's very unlikely you're going to be using those little curb boosts like that. It's more important to be sort of consistent in a race, obviously, and if you're dipping around the track going for curb boosts all the time, it's just going to piss everybody off, because you're going to end up hitting somebody and then there's going to be an argument. As it tends to go.
Indeed.
This section here is where the Turismo is actually a lot of fun, really. You're just dipping across dirt sections and the back end's kicking around. And as messy as it looks, that was, you know, decently fast through that section. So there is obviously advantages to staying on the road and keeping it smooth, but when it comes to optimal lines, you're dipping off the road, you're two wheels in the dirt, you're halfway up a mountain, you're flying off the side of a cliff generally.
Yeah.
And that's why these hot lap lines are so hard to hit, because they're so inconsistent. You could do that 10 times exactly the same way, and then once it will just fire you into the next planet. And that's just the way GTA works.
Yep. But I mean, if you're just taking this like patiently and you know, not trying to pull off crazy lines and just sticking to the road, there's no reason that anybody can't run a 455 or something in a supercar. You know, it's truly the mistakes that you know, the crashes and stuff that add up that prevent people from reaching that sub 5 minute mark that a lot of people think is just like impossible. It's really not once you get around the track with one clean lap. You know, a lot of people who haven't done sub 5 minutes, I can pretty much just tell you right now, you've never run a clean lap on the track. And I'm not saying that you're a bad driver. It's just, you know, people get impatient with the track and they get upset with it, and you gotta keep your cool. What was it you said about quicksand earlier? That was a really good analogy.
Yeah, basically, it's called going into quicksand. Basically, when you make one mistake, you get flustered, you start overdriving the car and overdriving the track, and you will invariably make more mistakes. And this is one thing to not do. It really, you can't stress how important it is not to get stressed and flustered when you have one crash. It's a long track, especially this one we're talking about right now. Loop is a very long track, around 5 minutes a lap. You make one mistake that's cost you 2 or 3 seconds, that can easily be made up in half of the lap. So it's just really important to keep your head. And I know it's quite frustrating sometimes in GTA. You crash and you think, well, what did I do wrong? You have no idea. But you've got to try and analyse what you did wrong, not do it again, and then by that time, once you've hit a clean lap, you will be under 5 minutes. We'd actually be quite interested to know if anybody watching this does actually improve their lap time from seeing any of our lines or listening to any of our analysis. If you do manage to improve your lap time, just let us know in the comments, and we'll be sure to get back to you on that one. Also, any other tracks you want us to go through? Maybe just me, maybe Tro. I'll get a few other people maybe from the crew to come in and give me a hand. So yeah, any tracks you want us to have a little breakdown of and just show you the best lines, or any specific passing lines we use, anything at all relating to racing in GTA, just let us know in the comments and we'll get it sorted. Thanks very much, and laters.